If you want to become a project manager in 2026 and be in the top 1% of the league, even with zero formal experience, this video is your step-by-step roadmap. I am Ray and I'm a PMP and a Prince2 certified project manager with over 15 years of project management experience, okay? And I have coached hundreds of PMs globally to become better project managers. And in this video, I'm giving you the exact 7-step roadmap that helps aspiring project managers build an immensely successful career, even starting with zero project management experience. Let's get going. Now, before we jump into the steps, let's quickly establish what project managers actually do on a day-to-day basis, because clarity comes before action, right? See, at its core, project management involves 5 key responsibilities: planning the work, managing timelines and budgets, handling stakeholders across different functions, solving daily problems as they emerge, and reporting the status to leadership. That's it. Nothing too complicated when you break it down in this way, okay? And here is something very, very important. Project managers exist literally in every industry, whether it's IT, construction, healthcare, retail, manufacturing, or even creative agencies like startups. Every organization needs someone to keep projects on track and to deliver value, right? So understanding the role of a project manager overall like this helps you to visualize yourself in the role regardless of your current background. Alright, so let's start with step 1, understanding the skills you actually need to become a project manager. Now, I'm going to break this down into 2 categories for you, okay? Firstly, the core project management skills. These includes scope definition, scheduling, risk management, communications, stakeholder engagement, and basic budgeting. So these are the technical bare minimum foundations every project manager needs to know, okay? Secondly, the soft skills such as leadership, organization, negotiation, problem solving, etc. and also staying calm under pressure. So these are really the emotional quotient factors that truly set exceptional project managers apart from the average ones, okay? Now here is something that should encourage you, okay? You can learn approximately 80% of the skills without even needing a formal project management job as an experience source, okay? Because these are sort of professional skills which are omnipresent across many routine jobs, and you can develop these soft and hard skills and capabilities even before you land in your first official project management position, okay? So just being aware of this core and the soft skills and practicing them consciously wherever you are currently in your career will kick off your learning process as a project manager, which is extremely crucial in step 1. Now moving on to step 2, building project management skills without actually having a project management job. Now this is where most people get stuck, okay? However, it is actually quite simpler than you think. So for example, you can start by volunteering to manage small projects at your current workplace. So for example, organizing team events, leading process improvements, planning team offsites, or let's say coordinating onboarding plans for the new joiners in your organization. So these are legitimate project management activities, right? Definite start, definite end, and creating a value as an outcome in the end. Next, you can run small personal projects as well, okay? So for example, planning a home renovation, setting up a technical system within your house. So for example, making your house a smart home, or let's say organizing a family event. So these require scheduling, budgeting, stakeholder coordination, all the PM skills, maybe without you actually being aware of, right? And finally, document everything you do in a project experience log, okay? So for example, capture the problem, your approach, and the results that you achieved, okay? This will in fact help you to fine-tune your CV as we will discuss in step 5. See, you need to understand that your first project manager role rarely comes from having a project manager title, okay? It comes from demonstrating PM skills you have practiced anywhere and everywhere in your life. Now, a case in point, my first project was organizing a cultural event within my housing society where I grew up in Kolkata. Now, on to step 3, choosing the right certification for your current level, because this is quite critical, okay? So if you are brand new to project management, start with CAPM, or let's say Prince2 Foundation, or the APM PFQ, which is the Project Foundations qualification. So these establish your foundational knowledge, and it typically requires about 6 to 8 weeks of focused study to complete these certifications. However, if you're already having some project level experience, let's say about 3 to 5 years, consider the PMP. Keep in mind that this exam is getting revised in mid 2026, okay? You can also consider Prince2 practitioner, or let's say APM PMQ, okay? So these certifications typically require more intensive preparation. For example, you might require 10 to 12 weeks for PMP and about 8 to 10 weeks for Prince2. Now, here is a quick breakdown of all the certifications, right? At least the key ones. The CAPM certification validates your foundation. The Prince2 certification provides a structured methodology, and the PMP remains the gold standard in project management. And the APM certifications are particularly valued if you are eyeing the UK market, okay? Your choice should be based on your geography, your industry, and your career timeline, okay? So just don't blindly chase a certification, okay? Try to find the fit of a certification to your career and to your industry, because that is what will matter the most if you want to see the real value coming out of a certification process. Alright, moving on to step 4, learning the practical tools that project managers actually will use in 2026. Now, let me be very clear upfront that just knowing the tools do not equals to having the right skills, right? So for example, I have seen PMs knowing how to use a lot of softwares, but when it comes to the practical application of those in real life projects, they really screw up. However, let's accept that familiarity and the proficiency with some of these software tools significantly increases your hireability during a shortlisting process and in an interview. See, employers really want to see that you can hit the ground running from day one, okay? So get comfortable with the project management platforms such as Jira or Trello or Asana or MS Project, SharePoint, okay? So these are the industry standards for task tracking, scheduling, and collaboration. And you, as a project manager, should have the working knowledge of these software tools. Finally, and this is quite critical, familiarize yourself with AI tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Copilot, or Perplexity. These tools are transforming how project managers handle documentation, risk analysis, meeting summaries, and stakeholder communications. Remember that when it comes to AI tools, you do not have to be the jack of all trades, right? However, demonstrating the basic practical proficiency with 3 or 4 relevant tools in project management and in the AI landscape during your interviews will set you apart from candidates who have ignored this aspect completely, okay? Finally, step 5, building a powerful project manager CV that actually gets you interviews. Now, this is where most aspiring PMs lose the game before it even starts, okay? See, the secret of a successful CV is translating your existing experience into the project management language, right? So instead of saying, I did a product launch, you need to write that I coordinated cross-functional tasks for a $50,000 product launch, ensuring all deadlines were met and the stakeholder expectations were managed in the entire life cycle. So do you see the difference? This is the same work, however, framed with impactful and relevant project management terminology, right? Because your CV must include these critical sections, okay? Your skills, the tools you have used, the projects you have handled, even the unofficial ones, okay? Certifications you have completed, and the type of teams you have managed in your career. Also, providing a budgetary estimate of the value of the projects that you have done, i.e. the overall dollar value of the projects or the portfolio you have handled in your CV helps employers to understand your fit to the role. Remember, your CV is just not a personal statement, right? It's really a marketing tool that positions you as someone who thinks and acts like a project manager even before getting the official title and even before landing in the job, right? Now, step 6, applying for the right roles, okay? And this is where strategic thinking becomes very, very crucial. So here is a very, very common mistake that many aspiring project managers do, okay? So when they search for a particular job, they only search for the title of a project manager, okay? And then when they see the job description and the requirements, they feel discouraged, okay? Because those requirements seem impossible to meet, okay? However, that is quite a naive approach. Instead, you need to search for these beginner-friendly job titles. So for example, project coordinator, project support officer, junior PM, PMO analyst, assistant project manager, or let's say project administrator. So these are literally your entry points into the world of project management. So your job search should be focused on these terms, because many successful project managers globally, including myself, started through these foundational roles in project management. So for example, I began my career as an assistant project engineer at ABB, managing design activities and engineering drawings before eventually progressing to full project management responsibilities. So these entry-level positions give you the legitimate project management experience, they expose you to real project environments, and they enable you to shadow a project manager firsthand. And most importantly, they help you to get your foot through the door, okay? Now, once you are in, progression becomes significantly easier, okay? Now, moving on to step 7, preparing for project management interviews, because this is where many aspiring candidates, even with stellar resumes, fail horribly, okay? So before an interview, it is extremely important that you study the job description of the role thoroughly, okay? And pre-plan the type of questions which could be asked during the interview. So this is a step which is so obvious but missed so often by candidates. Now here is my quick tip, okay? Always use the STAR or the CAR method when answering these questions in your interview. And most importantly, quantify your outcomes wherever possible. So instead of saying that I improved the process in the project, okay, you have to say that I reduced the process time by 30%, saving 15 hours weekly by executing project XYZ. So that's how you need to frame and quantify your responses in an interview if you have to leave a lasting impact to the interview panel. In fact, I have created a detailed video specifically on how to ace project management interviews, covering this STAR and the CAR frameworks, and also focusing on the common mistakes you need to avoid in a project management interview. So make sure you watch that video after this one. The link is in the description. And I'm sure that it will significantly boost your confidence before attending a project manager interview, okay? So guys, those were the 7 steps to become a project manager in 2026 without any prior experience, okay? Understand what the PMs do, learn the foundational skills, build your experience from your current role wherever you are at the moment, okay? Get the relevant certifications, learn the necessary PM tools, create a strong CV or resume, and apply for beginner-friendly project management positions, okay? So follow this roadmap systematically and you will successfully break into the project management world. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.